Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season where we are getting unstuck. We're moving forward, we're getting the forward momentum that everybody wants to have at the beginning of the year. We are the Developreneur Podcast. We are also known as Building Better Developers. I am Rob Broadhead, known only as Rob Broadhead as far as I know, and I am one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you leverage technology, AI, and build yourself a roadmap for success for your business. We help you make sure that you're doing the processes and the procedures and the design first instead of just jumping into some tools. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is that I've had like a really good start of the year. It's one of these times where it's like sometimes, the start of the year just you make a bunch of commitments and the next thing you know, January 2nd occurs and it's like it's a train wreck. This year's actually done pretty good. I've had a pretty good settle into the year. Things are moving smoothly. Bad thing is I'm sitting here doing the podcast by myself again. It is, yes, Michael and I have all kinds of back and forth, but it's nice having that second person there to sort of help you out when you stumble and fall. And yes, I am poking him because he's going to be listening to this and he's going to say, oh, darn. So he knows he's missed. It's not because I'm picking on him as much. We're going to continue this time our discussion with Miki Wong. And really, I had a great time. It's one of these that you look at you get somebody on as a guest and you see what they do and where they're coming from, and you don't get the whole story. And so we have these conversations, and this is where we do. And it's really somebody that's very much as they would say, one of mi gente, one of these people that have gone through the same kinds of things I've done, the same trials and some of the same procedure or trials and tribulations, even although in a very different line of work and things like that, but has a track record that is very familiar to me. So it's been a fun conversation, and I look forward to the next part of this. So pencils up, take some notes, because we do have some really interesting things if you are going to get into that, like start your own business mode and what that looks like. She shares some really good insights and some of her stories as well. So here we go, back with part 2 with Miki. So are your services more graphic design and things of that nature, or do you have a lot more technical sort of the back end?
Early development. Also, yeah, we're very different from traditional full service marketing agencies. We don't do any creative work. We only focus on technology. So with the implementation, migration, development, and whatnot. So we only focus on the back end portion, and we partner with a lot of other design agencies or even the internal design team or UX team to work together. And also we work with their internal tech development team too. But a lot of times we are the development team for some companies, or we are a subset of their development team. So we only focus on technology portion.
Oh, excellent. So is that how because you said you sort of drifted into media before you started the company, as you got out there and were looking at the problems to solve. So how do you, from a technology point of view, how do you see that as what are like some of the changing problems that you see? And actually, I guess we'll have to go there a little bit. Is like, how has it changed over the 10 years as you've been doing this? How have you seen a change in that digital marketing landscape?
I think it's changing a lot because lately, I mean, I almost don't want to even bring up, but then I have to bring up, it's like AI is kind of into the picture. So with that, a lot of people try to adapt it, but I feel like at this point, it's still a hype for them because they want it, but they don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. Like, especially because we work with marketing department a lot for these companies because we're doing more like a CMS and they're publishing. So it's usually marketing related departments that we work with. So they do a lot of campaigns or like, user engagements and like how to get more ROI or like whatever, those kind of things on their websites. But now that there's AI in the picture, they feel like they're obligated to use it, but they don't know what to do with it. And I was just recently reading about, like, I don't know if the actual percentage is correct, but like some are pretty much waiting to see what to do, or some are just they're ready to do it, but they don't know what to do it. Like there's like personalization and all these things, like they hear all these words, so they feel like they are obligated to adopt it, but is it really helping? Is it really is it really increasing ROI, or is your customers or audience for your website really getting frustrated with it. It's like they don't know that yet because like they're not that much data into it, and also they don't necessarily know how to use it properly. So there's a little bit of a weird um, gap where like I feel like it's a weird phase right now that like they feel like they need to use it, but they're not. But there has been a lot of little things like that. So it's like if there's any changes in like Google changes on like different um, way they do their ads or something, there's always that along the way. But this one is a little, think it's more current. It felt like it's longer.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's just because we're in the middle of it, but yeah,
Right.
very much that. It seems like everybody's in this like I hear all these great things and this is what it should do for me, but I don't know how to get there. I don't know what that is, and I don't know anybody that can, that's doing that necessarily. So there's just it's a lot of very much the hype thing. It's like it's coming, it's going to be great. You should be doing it right now, and everyone's like, okay, well, what does that mean? How would I do that? What does that look like?
How is it going to help me? It's like they don't necessarily know exactly that. And also like there's a lot of investment going on to this AI. So people think like, oh, this might be the good thing, but
Mhm.
is it good for you? But they can't really tell because they don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's probably the worst possible situation to be in is when people are ready to put a lot of money into something, but they really don't know it's like you got a lot of money, but you don't know where you're going to spend it. So now it's like that's not a good comment recipe for the best decisions to be made. It's just like
Yeah.
you don't want to hold it in your pocket too long. It's like, no, maybe you should and actually think about what you're doing before you go just spend a wad on AI and say, okay, well, we've invested a lot in AI. Well, okay, well, what were you expecting to get out of it? It's like, it gets back to the nuts, the brass tacks of it of like, okay, you invested this. Well, what was your return on investment? And how are you going to measure that?
Yeah. And then also I think I heard this like recently on like yesterday's meeting or something. Some people like they don't feel like they want to implement it because by the time they roll it out, it's gonna be outdated. But
Yeah.
that's kind of like because like it gets outdated faster these days. So like there's like, some it's like, but that's also catch 22. Like, but you still need to do something. But I was like, yeah, that was like interesting dilemma that I was hearing yesterday on that meeting.
And I'm wondering because I heard some of this years ago, and I'm wondering if you guys ran into it as well because you're in the WordPress space and that is that you'd run into people where it's like, well, they go and get a theme, and then it would be last year's theme, and now it's just like any design kind of thing. You sort of have these like seasons and these like the hot thing for the year, the new hot technology. Are you seeing a lot of that? Did you see a lot of that where people are sort of like hesitating a little, or almost worse is that you get to the end of a project and then people are like, oh, there's this new thing out and there's this great new, there's a new WordPress release and it does A, B, and C. And so now we have to upgrade everything to take advantage of the latest? Or were you able to sort of lock it in and say, okay, this is what we're doing for the project, and then come back at a version 2 of it?
It's actually easier to lock in because WordPress is one thing they're good at is that they're very good at backwards compatibility. So you don't have to like even if you upgrade to the next version, it doesn't break the things that you already built. So it's like slightly different from different technology because whereas like if there's a new version come out, you have to do the full migration. There are other CMS that has to be done that way, but WordPress isn't the case. So like it's little easier to go to the next version and adapt the new thing that they're rolling out without breaking what you already built. So it's been a little more smoother transition. So like it's easier to do version 2 or whatever. And also like technology too. It's like it's a slightly different type of technology, so you can still adapt it. It's like it's how much you want to spend time on it is usually the question. Time and money on it is usually the question, but everything can be done. It's just like it's always like the thing that we always talk about. It's how important is it for you to adopt this? Like, do you know how beneficial it would be for you in order to adopt it? Because it's at the end of the day, it's just a matter of time and money, how much you're willing to spend for that feature that you want to adopt in. So it was a little more smoother transition into adopting the latest and greatest for that end.
Yeah, that's always that's a common question, and the kind of thing was like, well, can you do this? Like, yes, we can, but do you really want us to? Because this is how long it's going to take, or the risk, or the cost involved. And sometimes the thing is like, we really got to have that, and then when you put a price tag and a time frame to it, they go, we really don't need that. Like
Right.
it can change the answer very,
Right.
very quickly.
Yeah. But it actually gives you like a good perspective. Like, do you really need it? Then you'll
Mhm.
know. So
That's true. If you keep like adding to the price and the cost, and they're just like, yes, we need it. You're like, okay, definitely, they need it. You can tell then when this is critical to their business moving forward. You also mentioned like Google and some of those kinds of things. So do you, just out of curiosity, are you guys sort of abstracted from the latest update and like the, how Google's changing their SEO rulings and things like that? Or is that definitely one of the things that is that you're constantly working with that to figure out, like making sure that you are aligning with the latest SEO search engine changes across Google and all the other people that matter?
Yeah, we have to be aligned with that because that's we're as us as like the consulting, we're giving them directions of what needs to be done for the people who might not be technical or not aware of this. We need to let them know that these are the things that you need to be aware of. Like if there's any new rules that you need to be abide by, like we need to let them know. Because like if you have an audience in California, there are certain things that you have to do on your website. You have to put different cookie consent or whatever, or GDPR, and all those rules. We have to let them know that you have to have it. So that's yeah. So we need to be always be aware of what's changing on that end.
Well, what do you do to keep yourselves and your staff, current on that, on the latest things and the latest rules that you have to work with? Particularly, and I guess it's sort of a addition to that question is: do you have international clients? So do you have California's is always its own little beast, but do you have other like EU and their regulations and other things that you have to keep up with?
Not necessarily from the companies that are only there. It's more like global companies, so they have offices in different countries. So that's when we have to let them know about like all these other rules, and it's due diligence for us. Like we kind of for owners we do, but like yeah, it's actually a good call that we probably need to have some mechanism for our employees in country to be aware of it because they when they delve into different projects, they naturally know because like,
Mm.
they have to do that, but. Yeah, that's a good call. Like, one thing I should probably might have overlooked. Should educate our employees to be always aware of it, because I know like most of the people that we work with that they're naturally curious, so they're pretty up to date with current affairs and what needs to be done for their job. So like I guess it was more of we've been lucky on that end.
Well, I mean, I think it's a perfectly logical answer to say, well, we just do our due diligence for any given project. And so we're going to go, like you said, I think some of it you get because you've just done this project before. So for example, if you built a website that had to follow all of the California rules last week, then all right, you're up to speed with it. Now, if you suddenly jump to, I don't know, India and you've got to deal with their stuff, then you're like, okay, I'm going to learn. But now the next place I do, next site I do that's going to be in India, then we already know that. So, sometimes you can't keep ahead enough because you don't know what's ahead of you. So it's easier to just sort of like take it as you go and just make sure that you're slow and steady as you go into it and are able to do that research.
Yeah, and also like with all the experience that when you have to if someone comes in and like we have to open like a website in this region that we'll do a couple things that like as a checklist because like just make sure that is there anything that we need to do, is there anything on the compliance side or anything that we should be aware of, those kind of things we do as a checklist. So even if we didn't know and we weren't aware that with that research we probably have to figure out what needs to be done before they actually put their site out on that region.
And since you live in this space, it's sort of a very consistent space as far as what you're delivering for your customers. Do you have like a testing suites and validation automation that you use so that when you spin up a site and a solution for somebody and here's what we've got, do you have something that you can do to sort of to test that and to say yes, we're going through and basically we can check off all those things on our checklist that we do have, we're responsive and we have, alternate methods of navigation and all the different things that are out there that are, I guess, the list of things that a good website does.
Yeah, we have our own checklist. It's like it's not fully automated because like with every time you go to a different client, it's very custom to them. But there's like a general thing that we have as a checklist, even like onboarding or before we even engage with the clients, that we have all this list of questions that we need to be aware to start discovery and all that stuff. So we do have our internal checklist to go through it. And then also usually there's like the initial checklist, but once you get the actual engagement, there's like a whole discovery phase to figure out what needs to be done. And then also like during like the whatever the development cycle and then the QA cycle and all that stuff and UAT cycle. And after that actual launch, there's a launch checklist that we need to have for like basic things for the web publishing and also like depending on which CMS or which technology we're pushing it out, like what needs to be done on the hosting side, what needs to be done on the actual like, data side and all that stuff. And like if you have more things like third-party integration, what needs to be done there on the CDN side and all these things that we have a checklist for. And then depending on the client, there should be their custom list that they need to have before we actually put everything up. And after they launch, then we also have like a post-launch items that we want to go through and like, so we do have like a phase and stages of cycle that we have to go through with a different list of things that we need to check off on.
Since we have, like, as I said before, we have a lot of developers in our audience, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of people, a lot of developers struggle with is when they shift from being a developer that's part of a company or organization, and now they're shifting into more like a whether they're consulting or they've got some sort of service or an agency that they work with, is actually the discovery phase is getting that, because a lot of times it's sort of given to you, it's been spoon fed you instead of having to go through that. So from that, and especially interested because if you had an experienced co-founder, how has that discovery phase evolved? How have you evolved that over the years as you've worked with your clients? I'm assuming you have. I'm assuming it wasn't perfect from the start, but maybe I'm
Yeah.
over assuming.
Yeah, I mean, I did have so before we started the company, I was pretty much doing the similar thing. So I had my own clients, like had my client base, and I was taking over probably like 90 to 95% of WordPress clients are going through me anyway. So with that, I was learning through it initially from like, like boss and whoever was more senior, like I'll be in the meeting together to learn about it. But as you put a lot of projects together, because I already have a lot of like a bigger sites, like I think maybe Times or all these other companies with like a different structure and different team I implemented different websites there. So through that experience, there are common things that I needed to know before starting a project. So those are the lists that we're gathering through that. And well, it smoothly transitioned into when we started it because we were pretty much doing the similar thing. It's just with a different company name.
So another one that is just because I've talked to a few founders lately, and that as you've grown, what is the thing that was the hardest for you to give up as you've grown, as the company has grown? Like something that maybe you guys did early on that you've had to sort of like set aside because it was, or either delegate or train somebody to do so that you can scale the company.
I think it was also always that because I remember even when I was going to the management role and I was that was encouraging the people who are bringing up to into the management role. I always have to tell them like, you have to delegate because I know you as a developer, I think it's naturally that you want to develop, but you have to let go of certain things that you're doing. Especially you'll kill yourself. You're gonna do all these tickets to you and also try to manage people. Because like
Mhm.
it's like there's no way you can do it. I mean, if you want your sanity to, and then you really love this development work, just assign one or two tickets and fade out, but don't put the same amount of tickets to your bucket when you have to manage the people as well. So that I always tell people that, but I was not really good at it either. So, especially like with the company. And then also I think when you start a company, because I'm technical, there are a lot of times that I can just do it.
Mhm.
But it's also twofold too, because I need to make sure that the person who's taking over has to learn. So like I need to be a little more patient about that. So like letting go of those was it's a little bit of challenging. Like even if like his role switch a little bit, I can still technically do the role sometimes faster, but it's the things that I remind other people, I have to remind myself. It's like be patient, let them do it because they need to learn so that you can move on to the next role. So yeah, I think that's a kind of constant thing that I still remind myself, like let go, move on to the next role. and trust
I
them.
agree.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those hard ones where you know it, but doing it is different than knowing it. It's easy to tell somebody else, it's like, yeah, go do this, and then doing it yourself is the more challenging piece of
Yeah.
it. Now, have you been able to stay technical, or have you been able? I mean, you can still do it, you said, but have you been able to stay technical on a regular basis? Have you really grown to the point where you've had to leave that behind?
Yeah, I still stay technical for some clients. So like different depending on different clients. So, but that's also one of those things that we like the co-founder and I talked about because he wants to do more hands-on too. I think I felt like I let go a little better than he did, but I had to kind of constantly remind him. I was like, I mean, we've been very lean because we're both technical, so we can do a lot while if you have to have a turnover so like that. But I think that was another reason that we were growing a little slower um, than we initially thought because you have that option to lean on yourself. So, like, if we weren't technical, we'd probably try to hire and scale that way. Whereas we, instead of hiring, we sometimes do it ourselves and we stay lean. But like that means that we didn't hire people to scale to the next level enough. So, like, I think it's always like a little bit of catching up on that because, like, I mean, it worked out in some years and worked out and not in some years because when we're so focused on client hands-on work, other things, internal stuff falls behind. And I think this is probably like, everyone's dilemma, especially with like the small companies. Because when, yeah, you have client work comes first and then like other internal thing that you need to do for the next quarter or whatnot, and that gets affected. So it's always like a little bit. And catching up and learning to balance it was actually one of one of the biggest learning thing that we have to go through. It's like
And how did you? Go
even if
ahead.
you're super busy, you still have to put some time for your internal things for the next quarter or planning or like whatever the next thing internally to make sure that future is not affected. So it was like a constant reminder, and that was like a harder thing to get adjusted because you just have to be very forced to not focus too much on one thing only.
So is that how you sort of solve that problem? Is you start putting it on the calendar and essentially said, okay, we've got to schedule this, so it's got to get done.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like you kind of have to force it, like brute force it. Like we gotta get it done. It doesn't matter. So
Yeah, sometimes that is the best way to get it. Is just say, okay, we're just going to plan for it, and it's got to get done. And you get to the end of the week, you go, oh, that's on my to do list, so we got to get it
yeah.
knocked out instead of kicking it forward to the next week or further down the road.
Yeah, we force it on the calendar. It's like it's set, so we have to spend this time on
Yeah,
the task.
it's on the calendar, and it is you can't touch the calendar. I
Yeah.
totally get that. Now, thank you so much for hanging out with us and sharing this. And for people that are out there and wanting to learn more about you guys, yourself and you guys, what are some of the best ways for them to reach out for you and reach out and contact you?
Probably LinkedIn because we're my co-founder and I are both very active on LinkedIn. The only channel that we're active on. I
Hmm.
suck at social channels. Like I wasn't really too good at it. So LinkedIn, it's very similar. I'll send you the link, but it's very easy because my name is unique enough. It's my full name, Mickey Huang.
Mhm.
And our website endeavor.io. Then you can find us from there. Comes contact page. We'll get to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I love having you here and sharing. And it's always fun to have somebody that's had an entrepreneurial journey that either some of our, I think some of our people are either in the midst of or maybe considering or looking forward to, and to hear some of the real world stories is always is a bonus, and it helps those who are struggling through it to know that I'm not the only person struggling through it. And for those looking ahead, it's like, oh, okay, I got to make sure for example, maybe I should find myself a good mastermind group or, some meetup group or something that is going to be able to, give me that community and that support.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a really good way to get to know and then like and see and learn from others.
Well, I will thank you for your time, and everybody else, thank you for hanging out with us. And we will be back next time, probably with yet another interview, depending on how we slice these up. And Michael will be back as well, most likely, so you won't have to listen to just me. But as always, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. So our bonus material, now that we are out of the audio side of it, and that is, I guess I'll start with it, like a good What is one thing, if you could go back and tell yourself as you were diving into this 10 years ago, what is one piece of advice you would give your younger you?
I think I already said it. So I don't know if you want to repeat it. Like join the mass group fast. Like it's like join a group that where you can learn from others and grow together. Because that gives like a great accountability, as you said, and then you learn so much, and then you get so motivated by the people around you. And also you share your experience, like some of the pain points, and then some of the things that you went through. A lot of times they went through it too. So it's a really great way to even like for your sanity check too, because like you're not alone in this. So like knowing that and there are other people are doing it and how much effort they're putting into their business also makes you like, you want to do better because like, it's always a very misconception that people always see the tip of the ice, but they don't really know what's underneath it, how much effort that went into it. When you see the successful person, because I haven't met any single successful person that didn't put effort into it. And that's like it's a known thing, but it's very easy to forget. So like if you see other people really tr putting everything they got or sometimes like more to get to where they want to go, you get so inspired by that. So I think it's a great way to get to know other people and also like you learn about different businesses. That's too because you didn't even think of like, oh, that kind of thing exists. So like, oh, that's really great. So you learn a lot from just being around like that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Like, people will often in an interview they'll say like, "Oh, here's something. Here's a great thing to point. A great point that I would have. I would suggest to people starting out, or advice I give to my younger self." And so it's nice that you double down on that. And say yes, that is exactly the advice I would give. And then I love that you gave us some more, went a little deeper on that. Now, when you went into these groups, sort of as we go a little explore that a little bit, was that you and your co-founder, or was this something that sort of you were doing and was more for your own personal sanity in that, or as opposed to I guess a corporate kind of thing?
It was more a personal thing, and then he joined a different group. So we also want to like evaluate different groups. So yeah, we always join a different group to see which one's good. And then there were times that I joined the group that he was in for a short period of time just to kind of see. But I think he and I look at different things on when you're in different masterminds. So it worked out because like what I like is more like the thing that I discussed, and he actually like more sharing and also more focused on the similar industry type of thing. Whereas I like different type of businesses or different things just to kind of see what's going on and what's exploring different experiences I can secondhandly get.
Now, that also allow you then to, and sort of leaning at that, does that allow you to sort of talk about your relationship with your co-founder and like how should this work? And because sometimes the dynamics are that is one of the more challenging pieces is the dynamics of not being a founder but being like a co-founder or or a board or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So like I asked about those kind of things before too. But so yeah, so different things that you learn from there.
Well, excellent. So we're starting to run out of time. So I guess I will let you get on with your day. I want to say again, just thank you so much for spending some time with us. I know we had a couple of change schedules along the way, and thank you for
Yeah,
us
flexible.
bouncing all of that stuff in place and getting here finally and making it worthwhile. And as I said, we will get the links to you and we'll get everything in contact as this comes closer. And you feel free to share it wherever you want to. We'll get you links for the YouTube stuff as well as the podcast places or the main podcast links. And between now and then, if there's anything else we can do, just let me know. Happy to help you guys out in any way that we can. And have yourself a good rest of the day, good week, and we'll catch you somewhere further down the road.
Yeah, yeah, we started our podcast as well, so I can
Oh,
send you information if you want to be because I'm actually well, so we have two different ones. One's actually boozy browsing, which is we're doing a happy hour and auditing the site while we're drinking
fun.
one or
Boozy
two.
browsing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to look for everybody. Look for the Boozy Browsing podcast.
Yeah, and then the other one is actually I'm interviewing all the different company business owners or agency owners, just like 15 to 20 quick interviews, set of 5 questions just to learn about their business and what they're about. Just it's like I was telling one of the guests who asked me why I'm doing this. It's like my curiosity to learn about other business as well as I want to get to know, and then also hopefully the other people want to learn about your business can also get exposed to it. So if you're up for it, I can send you the link and information.
Yes, definitely. And what's the name of that one?
That was Voices of Leadership.
Okay.
It's an
So
innovative
yeah.
endeavor.
So if you're looking for fun, boozy browsing, if you want something more concrete, Voices of Leadership. So awesome. There's some actual bonus material there, and we'll yeah definitely send us the links. Love to listen to them ourselves, and also share those out with the audience and see whatever we can do to help you to build that up. So
Perfect.
thanks for hanging out. This has been great. Look forward to hearing more from you. I'll hear you if nothing else. We'll go listen to the podcast and catch some of that kind of stuff, and just keep going at it. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye.